Thanks, Francine. And hello, everyone. My name is Christina Winter, and I am the Copyright and Scholarly Communications Librarian at the University of Regina. And I will be serving as the moderator for this session. So please join me in welcoming Imba Kehoe, Head Copyright and Scholarly Communications at the University of Victoria, and Imba will be presenting from Deposit to Discovery, Developing Sustainable Workflows in the Age of OA Mandates. Over to you, Imba.
All right. Thank you, Christina. And I'm going to just hopefully quickly share my screen here. Please let me know if you can see it. Are we good?
Yep.
Okay, great. So, as Christina said, my name is Inba, and I'm the head of scholarly communication and copyright at the University of Victoria Libraries. And what I'm hoping to do is give you some practical ways or workflows that we engage in at the university here to expand our repository content, especially with faculty publications. And I took over the institutional repository management somewhere around 2017, I think. I can't even remember the exact year anymore. And since then, we've been trying all kinds of different workflows. So what you will hear from us today is multiple things that we've been trying and all kind of in the end working together in some ways, trying to give a consistent um, intake of publications. First, I'd like to thank or acknowledge Emily Hopkins' presentation at the CRKN conference. So if you haven't looked at it, and I think she's also presenting later today, so I'm not going to cover some of the things that she covered in those sessions. So I'll just work through. So I won't do definitions and things like that. So I'll just work through the workflows that we have. And the second acknowledgement I definitely want to give is to my staff in my unit, Madison, Sarah, and Caroline, who have helped tweak this workflow over the years to what we have now. And we're constantly tweaking to find better ways to ingest content. So the next slide I have is I want to do a little line acknowledgement for where I'm sitting in Victoria. So I'd like to acknowledge and respect the Lekwungen, Songhees, and Kosepsen Esquimalt peoples on whose territory the university stands, and the Lekwungen and Wasanic people whose historical relationships with the land continue to this day. We go into our work with an open mind and an open heart, being mindful of the land that we are on as we proceed with the rest of the things that we need to do. So what I thought I'd start with is a quick look at our repository. So our institutional repository is called UVic Space. It was established sometime in 2015, and we all, as all repositories have, started with hosting ETDs, the theses and dissertations. We now include master's projects, honors theses, faculty publications, undergraduate posters, podcasts, reports, books, journals, and more. With the tri-agency OA policy on publications in 2015, there's been increasing expectations for the dissemination of scholarly research for the public good. So this policy has pushed libraries to rethink how we support researchers and led us here at UVic to explore strategies to improve access, visibility, and preservation of scholarly work. This includes a workflow that shifted from a passive repository model to a more proactive engagement with our campus community. So, from here, when I say passive, I'm talking about the self-archiving kind of model that we all started with, hoping that we build a repository and people will come to it and self-deposit. But what we found are challenges to this kind of model. So, we were optimistic, but it didn't work out as ETDs did because ETDs here are mandatory, so students have to deposit. So there's the difference right there in the way we do the self-archiving here. So self-archiving workflow always meant that the author registers and then is authorized to submit to a specific collection. Here are some of the issues that you see on the slide that we've up against as we looked at self-archiving. One, it's not part of the research workflow. They finish their research, they publish their research, and then that's it. They don't want to look at it again, and they don't like other administrative workflows that come into play that force them to do more things around this. The other thing, and they don't have the time, is what we found out. Registration to our IR is not seamless because it's not connected to any kind of institutional login. We'd never put that in place. And as you all know, funding agencies are not monitoring compliance. So there's the mandatory part. So when you're not monitoring and it doesn't affect any future funding requests, they're not going to deposit. They kind of go, why do I need to do that? Nobody's checking and I'm not affected by it. And the other thing we've always heard is that they're afraid to go against any publisher policies and rights. And so they don't want to do it on their own. Um, so what we decided to do at that point was, move from a self-archiving to a mediated deposit model, which some of you have already tried and experimenting with. So what we did was we positioned the repository at the end of the research cycle, focusing on meeting the researchers where they are and starting to give them more flexible submission processes. So we did have and do still have an author submit. They can submit articles, single articles via email. We also now, since February this year, have a form that they can fill out and just deposit, and we'll take care of checking everything. And they also know that they have library expertise to look at compliance, which is that problem with trusts on publisher policies. And we've designed a scalable, efficient, and sustainable model, we hope, to continue working on. So roughly, this is what the workflow looks like. We have been working on identifying. So besides the authors submitting things to us, we do the first thing, which is search the databases, things like Scopus, Wiley, Springer, MDPI, and look for CC content. And when we find CC content based on our institution, filtering by year usually, and then by OA articles, we pull them down and then we deposit them. We're not looking to ask faculty for permissions on this. They've already done a CC license, so we don't think we need to do any of that. We just deposit them. We've tried faculty alerts on these databases, but too many faculty, too many moving parts here, so we decided not to even continue with that option. But we still continue with encouraging faculty to send us CVs instead. And so we do that through library newsletters. Our liaison librarians do some outreach around that. We've gone to departments to talk about this and saying, send us your CV, we'll review them, deposit your OA articles, and then or rather review anything that's an accepted manuscript and go from there. So we definitely prioritize in this whole workflow CC license work first, and then do the accepted manuscript. The difficulty with accepted manuscript we found is that sometimes the researcher here is not the corresponding author, so they don't have the final copy. And if they are the corresponding author, usually we find that they don't keep their articles once they're published after 2 years. So that's sort of the time frame upon which we ask for accepted manuscripts. Of course, there's some people who will have everything they've published, but most only keep about 2 years and then they ditch them. So trying to get accepted manuscripts from the faculty members is quite difficult, is what we found with some of the mediated deposit work that we've been doing. Now, then what we did was we scaled our service Um, looks like my slides. Oh dear. Oh, I'm missing my slide pictures, I think, here. Let me just, sorry about this, folks. I'm just going to, okay. Um, there. That should give you something. So what we did was at this point, we pivoted to doing bulk imports. So we're still doing mediated, but we also are doing bulk imports. So with the new upgrade that we did last year, we found out that we could do bulk imports as well. So what we're doing is, looking at our transformative agreements, for instance, and taking items from there and then moving them into spreadsheets with the proper data that we need to import it into the repository. So that's how we're working with quite a lot and increasing our scalability in that sense. So what the Skullcom unit does is that they pull those things, put them in the spreadsheets, and then bulk import them into UVic space. We also definitely do check whether we already have that content here. Um, just this year or the last few months, we have also done some cross training with our metadata staff who normally do checking for the ETDs. So they have now picked up some of this work as well. So we have high volume turnaround as a result of this. The other thing that we have done with bulk imports is that we have multiple research centers and institutes, labs that are on campus that have started to work with us to bring in their content so that they're adding their research content into the repository as well. And some of our faculty members work in those research centers. So it's really worthwhile doing that. And we have someone who's an administrative person in the research unit that we supply the spreadsheet to and ask them to input that data for us. And then we bring that data and they supply us with the articles and we deposit it on their behalf. So that's how we're doing some of our bulk imports now. So that has aligned with some of the pain points some of the faculty have talked to us about. So turnaround times are pretty quick when the administrative staff have been helping us with some of this work. Yes, there's lots of checking on our side when we do those bulk imports, but we find that adding all that content into a spreadsheet makes it a little faster for us to import content into our repository. The other thing that we have done is ORCID integration. So we've kind of connected our UVic space or IR work and workflow with other initiatives that this our unit is doing, and that's the ORCID integration. So what we now suggest to folks is, hey, we'll help you with your ORCID profile and update your profile, send us your CV, and we'll check through it after we finished your ORCID profile and deposit content into the repository. So this is what we're calling our VIP service. So they request the update to the profile, they send us a CV, and staff complete the review of the CV to see what can be deposited into the IR. So that's sort of where we've come now with our workflow. So what I'm going to show you is, um, so as you can see, it improves everything, right? It links to other work we're doing. It improves discoverability, and it, does identity support for the researcher. So here's a graphic look at the workflows that we have that I've been talking about. So you have the individual deposits with author submissions and the quick submit button that we have. Then we have the mediated deposit where we recruit content that's CC content. We do bulk imports. We also have started to use Zotero. We tested it. So with the bulk imports, sometimes it's easy, like the transformative agreements, for instance. We just take the DOIs, stick it into Zotero. It will populate the profile with the article information, and then we add department information in it. We add a few other labels to it that are pertinent to our repository, and then we export that from Zotero and then import it into um, the repository. So those are some of the things that we're trying to make efficient, and it works quite well right now. So those are the things that we're doing. Let me see what else have I missed here. Yeah, okay. So then here's a look at our publication deposits since 2016. So we had a sort of a peak in 2024. Um, I believe any of the peaks that we've had, like 2020, 21, are all because we've had extra staff. We've hired an intern, so they have been able to help us with some of the deposit work. And I checked with my staff last week, and they tell me that they probably spend about 4 hours per week with deposits, along with all the other work that they're doing. And because of that, we average out to about 350 to 400 publications per year. So that's what you're seeing in these stats. And I did a quick, I wanted to play and pushed these stats into Notebook LM, and here's what I got, which was kind of nice to see on an overall picture. And you can see with that peak that we had in 2024, we had a surge in our annual inputs into the repository, and postprints and preprints also went up to 101 in 2023. So we're very proud of the work that we've been doing and proud of all the things that we've tried to tweak our bulk imports and our mediated deposits into. Um, and we're still tweaking. We're currently looking at how we can bring things down from OpenAlex and maybe do some bulk imports from that database as well. So impact overall from all of this is that, it's definitely increased participation from across campus. It's reduced barriers and it scales with thoughtful workflows, I think. And faculty are kind of satisfied with the work we're doing, especially when it's connected with ORCID. And they love it when they tell us, hey, if somebody else can do this work for me, I am totally happy. So that's the kind of message we're getting. And we're getting stronger partnerships with those research institutes and centers. So we're really, really happy about that. And of course, global visibility for research is major as far as we're concerned. That's about where we're kind of sitting. And thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Imba. That was super interesting and really inspiring. Lots of great ideas that I think I'm definitely going to take back to my institution. Thanks so much for that.